Good evening and welcome to the Macclesfield Town Council Services Committee. We're here back in the Town Hall after our last adventures out to the library in our last meeting. It's the 10th of July, 7 o'clock, and we're here to conduct the agenda set in front of us. We've got one member of the public here to speak, which we will take a little bit later on. Okay, looking nervous, but don't be nervous. I'm the nervous one, so you'll be fine. We'll take the agenda as set out. So item 1 is to elect a chair for this new services committee. As we are aware, Janet, who was the previous chair, has stepped down from the council, which is a great shame. I, as the previous vice chair, would like to nominate myself for the chairmanship, chair of the meeting, sorry. So it's down to the council or the committee to second or nominate themselves.
I'm happy to second, Jim.
Thank you.
I'll nominate Bill second.
So, well, we'll take that to the vote. So all in favour of myself, thank you very much. So item 2 is to elect a vice chair. The town. Apologies, Chair. Settle down. So just continue to elect a vice chair. Town Clerk and myself have received communication from Councillor Wilson that she would like to nominate herself for vice chair. Unless we've got any other members that would like to nominate themselves for the vice chair. It's proposed and second. Councillor Wilson. To second, Councillor Wilson, thank you. So all in favour of. Sorry, you wanting to? No, that's fine. That's fine. All in favour to elect Councillor Wilson as Vice Chair of Services? Thank you very much. Okay, so moving on to the apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
Councillor Wilson and Councillor Warren.
Thank you. Item 4, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest for the meeting? Agenda? No. Okay. So we're going to adjourn the meeting as it is, and we're going to invite our public speaker, who is Josie Lowe's from Party in the Pews. We're going to be on the agenda. Party in the Pews is item 8.1. So if you want to speak to us, and then we can move that forward. Do that part of the meeting, and then we'll be happy to stay, or you can head off. So it's over to you. So 3 minutes, is it?
Yeah.
3 minutes to speak, and then wherever you want, wherever you feel more comfortable.
I'm just thinking with you videoing it, I feel most comfortable in front of that camera.
I think I'm the same, to be honest.
So hi, I'm Ruby Jo, and we've just done our third Party in the Pews. I was here last year, and the council were amazing, and not only did they support us financially, we used their deck chairs, they looked brilliant, and the gazebos, the outside stage, and the festival went amazing. It was a full sellout for the entire weekend. Other benefits we got, if you tried getting a hotel in the whole of Macclesfield that weekend, it wasn't happening. Absolutely everything was sold out. We had people at the festival were saying that they were going around the treacle market. There was loads of treacle market photos of people with festival t-shirts on. It was just an absolutely brilliant weekend for Macclesfield. I saw quite a few of the council at the weekend. I hope So next year, we're back on it. We have booked Slow Readers Club, which sold out 2 nights at the Albert Hall in Manchester, which has a capacity of 1,800. They sold that out in about a week. And we also have Neville Staple, who's like the father of like Scar and Two Tone from the Specials. So we've got these absolutely amazing bands coming to the centre of Macclesfield, which is just so exciting. And you know what we do is different to what else is going on in Macclesfield. You've got Macfest, and what they do is brilliant, and they do cover bands and everything. But that's not what we want to do. We want to do absolutely original music. So last time we had local bands on as well. We're going to do that again next year. We're going to do a battle of the bands to get more local bands on. And basically, next May we want to do the whole thing again. So I'm putting a request into the council, not just financially, but to work with us again, and that they can support us again. There's a couple of things. So last time we used the funding to change the power supply at the church. So it's now got a 3-phase a plug-in, which, while it might sound really boring, it's brilliant. It meant we didn't need to spend £3 grand on generators, and it means anyone that wants to hire that church, it's a lot cheaper than to hire the church, because it means they don't have to do that. So again, we're applying for funding for stuff that's going to have like a permanent, lasting, positive effect. So some of the funding was going to go to a PA and a stage. So everything that happens outside the festival, that's completely free for anybody to attend. You don't need a ticket. And it's the outside stage where we work with Macclesfield College, we work with Stockport College, and they get to put bands on, they get to run that stage, they got all that experience. So we like to fund something like that, and it also means that anyone that's hiring the church, they can use those facilities, which again is going to make Christchurch a much more useful, affordable and viable community asset. The other thing we'd like to invest in is St John's ambulance cover, because everything that happens outside, obviously the numbers are getting bigger, we need to keep everybody safe, and St John's would be a big part of that. Up until now we've just had our volunteers have been first aid trained, but you know, St John's know their stuff, so I think letting them do it would be a much more safe option. And another thing we wanted to invest in, which I know Neil would be interested in, is we're quite conscious of the amount of single-use plastic. We don't have any other option with this, or so we thought, because everything we do literally just gets put in the bin because we don't have a water supply to the church. But I found a company based in Stockport that will do these reusable plastic festival pint glasses. So not glasses, sorry, plastic. We wanted to do something like the beer festival does, but based on our insurance and because it's outside and everything, glass is an absolute no-no. We're never going to be allowed. So we found these like plastic pint glasses. So we thought if we could get something like that that the bars can use, we can use, it means we're not just binning like plastic after plastic after plastic. Other benefits. Sorry.
No, you it's
We
fine.
do this all day.
Yeah, it's one of those where you feel nervous when you get in the swing of things. You have had slightly more time than we said, but no, what you've presented to the council so far is great. Thank you very much for that. Sorry to
It's fine.
stop you in flight. So, with no other members of public speaking, we'll take. Yeah, so if there's anyone that wants to ask any questions, Councillor Winsome.
Not any questions, but just more commentary. Yeah, Anne was man at the bar at one point.
I know. Thank you. You're a brilliant barman. Sorry, I've not been speaking this way.
Yeah, no, but I think
You're more than happy to
Okay.
answer questions.
You're a good barman. Thank you.
I think the variety of bands and the fact that the local bands plus a couple some big name bands made it, and I think when you see that space being used and then you see the outside space being used, again going into the gardens as well, I think it tells you the potential of the space, and I think the fact that we've invested one, you run a successful festival 3 years in a row. Two, it's generating bigger bands coming. So I think that's commendable. I think you've done a fantastic job so far.
The aim of the festival, well, music booking wise, so I do all the bookings, but the genuine aim booking wise of the festival was always twofold. It was to bring bands to Macclesfield that Macclesfield would never be on the touring circuit, they were never going to normally come here. And the other side of it was to give local bands a much bigger platform and a much bigger stage, because we don't have the local venues. So that was always, so yes, thank you, that was the plan.
Any other, Councillor Pulsick?
Thank you, Chair. And I think it's fantastic the point you make about the outcomes, really, when you say about the connection to Manchester, Stoke, Leeds, Birmingham and Sheffield, because of course the point is that Macclesfield's within 45 minutes drive of all of these places. So the question is, I mean, I'm going to sound like I'm working for the tourist board now, but why wouldn't you come to Macclesfield? You know, and then if you're talking about finding a way to encourage people to come and discover the town and to get involved, that's really great. I think the other point is, and I didn't declare it because it was in previous years, but when I've done stuff in Christchurch myself, such a wonderful venue, so many logistical challenges to
Yeah.
with as you say about the electricity and separately the water, and of course the toilets. This is just absolutely crucial. I think in the finance committee last Monday we gave a grant to, I think Helena can help me out with this, for the maintenance of the gardens itself. And of course, what we had there was they were talking really creatively about how do we deal with a garden that doesn't have any access to water, or or volunteers that don't have access to toilets, which is of course crucial. So I mean, the fact that it's just wonderful to hear how many groups are thinking creatively, whilst the Churches Trust in London does absolutely nothing about its
Yes.
massive building, which it probably sees as a bit of a kind of liability. So it's positive to hear that, and I think just to the rest of the council, I think it's good that you're talking with a lot of knowledge of that venue.
It's brilliant space, but yes, it is challenging, like mentally, financially, everything. But it is an amazing space. So we're hoping in 2025, CCT will actually invest massively into the church. But one of the things that CCT wanted was they needed to see it was being used.
Yeah.
So part of the reason we can actually go to the CCT and go, get us water, get us toilets, get us a new roof, get us all these things, is based on the fact that we are showing we're using it as a big community venue, that it can be a big concert hall, it can be a festival space, it can be a community space, but we need help to get there, basically.
Yeah. Chair, if I could just come back with another observation, really, was back to, I mean, we had a giant pulsating heart. I don't think it was actually pulsating, it wasn't beating at the time.
It looked amazing.
Well, the point is that, roadies and group, what do you call them? Techies. It almost got stolen by techies at one stage. You had so many competing bands in that space, and competing techies and different things. So it's just, I just think my experience of that event was that you had something for different generations. What I'd love to see is that, or just to confirm with you, that tickets are available for sort of people that might not be able to afford it, or sort of younger people who might not be organised enough to get the tickets. So currently, one of the main things that happened because of the council investing in us last year is the fact that this year we could offer family tickets, we could offer reduced kids tickets. But in terms of young people that can't afford to go to a festival, we literally do it Glastonbury style. So we put a call out in the local colleges, and we do it all on Facebook and everything. And so we get loads of young people that are volunteering, and the deal is that they do so many hours on and they do so many hours off. So they do like a few hours for us, stewarding or on the door, and then they get so many hours to enjoy the festival,
and it's one way we can get them experience. The festival does them a really good, like write up for the CV and everything, and it means they get to come to the festival as well. I mean, putting a festival on in that church will always be expensive because of every single challenge you've just listed, and currently that is what we're up against. But we're trying to do as much as we can so people can still get involved with it, like free or cheaper, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say, I know we spent an hour or so on Sunday the events, but it was so nice to see an old from the outside, an old dilapidated church, and on the inside it was upbeat. There was so much going on. There was stuff going on outside. Looking at what you've come to us for, obviously the funding, it's fantastic that you're thinking about the future. You're thinking about how can we reduce our plastic waste. These reusable plastic cups. You see them at the cricket matches now. You see them at other sporting events.
I've got one in my bag. It's these.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely fantastic. Using local cinema for tickets. Again, trying to keep things local. So Mark, I obviously wish you the best of luck going forward, because what you've done, I think a few years ago, Macclesfield was not noted for arts and culture. I think what you're doing so far, just for one weekend of the year, you promoted it, you're putting Mac on the map, and it's fantastic to see.
Thank you.
Party in the Pews are looking for funding bid £3,878 to help with the items listed in the agenda.
I think they would propose it.
Proposed the £3,878, seconded by Councillor Palmer. So we'll take that to the vote. All in favour of that? That's unanimous. Looking forward to next year.
Thank you so much. Honestly, it means the world to us. Not just in terms of money. It means the world to the festival. The fact that the council is supporting it, and they want to support live music, and they want to get more on in Christchurch. And honestly, I appreciate it so much. I will work my butt off again.
No, it's one of those where it's two-pronged, because it's helping you out, but as you've noted on the report, the town council logo is over everything as well. So we as a council are more than happy to work with yourself to make it as good as possibly can. So I'm certainly looking forward to popping down again next year and seeing what's going on. So
Thank you.
thank you very much. As I said, you're more than welcome to sit and watch the rest of the meeting, or if you wanted to.
Chair, can I ask, where do we get the t-shirts from?
I know, it's like branding. So you can buy them from Cinemac and also through the Facebook page. So we do loads. So obviously the council does amazing funding. They nowhere near fund anything like what it costs to put that festival on. So we do loads of things with like sponsorship and t-shirts, and but get a t-shirt, just message on the Facebook page and we'll send you one. Definitely.
Thank you. Okay, so moving back to item 5, we've got minutes of the Services Committee held on the 17th of April. These are to approve the minutes. So if anybody is able to propose those as a true record?
Yeah,
You're happy to propose from item 3 onwards?
sorry, I apologise.
No, that's fine. I will second those. So all those in favour? That's carried. Any apologies? Sorry, any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Are there any matters arising from those minutes? No. Okay, moving on to item 7, which is community. 7.1 is a community engagement update, and that's to receive and notice the updated reports. And I'll pass over to the Assistant Town Clerk.
Thank you. So we've recently held a volunteering recruitment campaign during Volunteers Week. It's been really successful. We've now recruited 3 volunteers. They've been through the process. but we've had about 12 inquiries, so, and the people coming through are fantastic, so it's really exciting to see what we're going to be able to do for volunteers going forward. So that's all positive. Grant applications have significantly increased, so we had 11 for the last finance committee meeting, and I think that just shows that people are getting to know now that the town council has funding available, the message is getting out, and also we invite all the groups to the meetings now, so as the people on the finance committee know, it's a really great networking opportunity, and the engagement there is really positive. So last week at the meeting, two different groups were talking to each other, and they've arranged to have a meeting about potential joint projects, so it's very exciting. And also just to say we've had 2 work experience students with us in the last month, so that was really positive, and we've worked on 2 projects, and it's just another way that we can reach out to young people.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fantastic to be part of the finance committee meeting last week. And I think also the work that's been done to invite the groups in, because I think previously the council put it will agree by we're making decisions and we've not got the opportunity to speak to the groups and we can't question this, and it's nice that they were able to come along to the meetings to be able to answer those questions, Councillor.
Yeah, just building on that, Chair, thank you very much. And thanks. Really, it's a testament to the work of the council officers. Really, really good. We have, I think I have to usually, at some point in the finance committee, I have to explain that these that we're not just rubber stamping all of the groups. That actually the point is that we are engaging and working with those groups beforehand, encouraging them. I mean, not to spend too much time on talking about another committee. Thank you to the services committee for helping us with this. But the last week there was a lady who applied for £200, but of course we all knew that it wasn't the £200 we were talking about. We were talking about continued sustained support for volunteer groups that are working on the Western Estates and round Earls Way and Gilchrist Avenue. And the point is that we've got a very supportive and nurturing sort of group working with the CVS and working with Helena, and that's really positive. So yeah, thanks to the services committee. I've forgotten that you were actually managing it through them. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments or questions about the community engagement? No. Item 7.2 is the CVSCE, and again to receive and note the updated reports from that.
Yeah, just to say the partnership with CVS continues. They are really supportive. One of the reasons why the grant applications that come through are of such a high standard is because EFA works with those groups along with ourselves. But also the work that they're doing with the groups as part of our partnership with them is fantastic as well. They've helped out Space a lot. They're helping Raw get some additional funding, and they're also helping Macclesfield Bereavement Support Group to develop a constitution so they can then apply for different pots of funding. And like I say, the grant support they give to us is very valuable.
Thank you. So it's not just the grant support, it's the support that they give to the community groups before, during and after as well, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Any comments, Councillor?
Yeah, just again, I think it's I've seen how positive the work of CVS and EFA in particular is in working with groups. I just wanted to point out the fact that I mean the town council and we've got to make sure what's really great about seeing this report is that we're supporting those groups that aren't maybe highly visible or and I think what Helena was saying before about actually getting 2 different groups to network is really positive, but the point is there's an awful lot of volunteer community organisations that are very quiet, that they do something very specific or actually sometimes something where it really just isn't a great idea to advertise yourself all the time. And I think in the past we've been, because in this sort of decade of big society and whatever else, we've had this kind of groups of volunteer groups who had to clamour for money and this or that. And I just think it's really great that we've got a group that are supporting some of the smaller organisations, some of the individuals that run those organisations to make sure that they keep going. And that's almost one of the unspoken things about the town council, and I think that's really positive and needs talking about as well.
Any other comments? No. So moving on, item 8 is local service delivery. 8.1 is an events update. Reading through the report, there's been quite a few events that have been gone, and quite a lot coming up. So I'll hand over to the events officer.
We'll start with Parkfit, which is
Yeah, so just a quick one. Parkfit have moved back into South Park. Last week, Thursday, I think there was 31 people who attended. Numbers are averaging around sort of 21 to 23. There's been all sorts of different workouts. Last week involved a little bit of running, but there's been bodyweight workouts. And one week we were all asked to bring along a bottle of water or a tin of beans. So Matt's finding sort of different ways of keeping people engaged. A number of people from Raw have been attending the sessions, and they have come back week after week after week, and they've fed back to Matt just how good that they're all finding it. And Matt's also been asked by Just Drop In to look at running something similar for them specifically during the summer holidays. So that's something that he's looking into.
so it feels like ages ago now, but we had the King's Coronation Town Centre Tea Party, which was back at the start of May. We were keeping a close eye on the weather right up until the last minute, and it turned out it was going to absolutely chuck it down all day. So the last minute, we went next door and spoke to our friends at St Michael's, and they very kindly allowed us to move the whole event inside the church. And we, with the help of Raw, again, actually they helped us set up and pack down both for this event and for the Armed Forces Day event that we had last weekend. And they've been absolutely brilliant, they're so helpful. But they came in and we cleared all the pews out to one side, we set up a little stage, we had we'd hired some festival tables and chairs, so we made a proper little 1940s style tea party. We had swing dancing lessons, we had a live band, we had the free cake was set up outside under the big gazebo, and it was really well attended. It was, people actually came out in the storm specifically to come to the event. You could tell because people were dressed up ready for the swing dancing, and it was, it turned out to be a really lovely day, and we had so much positive feedback from our online feedback form, so that was a really nice one. Party in the Pews, that we've just spoken about. We've also had Barnaby since, and this weekend coming we've got Pride coming up, so there's lots of other events that we are supporting. Last weekend we had Armed Forces Day. This is the first time that the town's held the event since 2019, and I'm not sure the town council's held it before. I think it might have been organised by the RBL before that. It was a bit of a mixed bag. I think we put on a really nice event, but it wasn't very well attended, and in the lead up with the social media and stuff, we weren't getting the kind of engagement that we normally get. So we're going to talk to the RBL, we're going to talk to different veterans and stuff and see if there's something different we can put on, because there is a big, Cheshire East won a massive Armed Forces Day event in Crewe the weekend before. And it's not a Crewe Town Council event, it's a Cheshire East sponsored and organised event. So we would like for them to move that around perhaps, share the love a little bit, move that large event to Mac, move it to Nantwich, move it, spread the love around the borough a little bit. And if that doesn't happen, then the resources aren't there to spread that event around. There's lots of groups that go to that big event and they don't necessarily want to do another event the weekend after. So it needs to be something looked at. It was a shame that, I think we had the Scots Guards pipes and drums, we had the Stafford Military Wives Choir, we had Darren Lloyd, who's a local musician, who played at Easter, and it was a really jolly, positive event. But yeah, we weren't really getting that engagement that we normally get. So it's just something to look at going forward. And then, like I say, this week we've got Pride coming up. We're going into our summer programme in 2 weeks, so Do Something Summer, that'll be running every Wednesday. And again, we've had loads of positive engagement from that on the socials and stuff. Our triangular Corex around the lampposts have had lots of scans, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later. But yeah, people have been really positive about it, and we've been able to loop in other local organisations like the Silk Museum and the library
and the Grosvenor Centre, and other free things that they're offering, they've been happy that we put that under the Do Something Summer umbrella, so we can show that there's lots of free stuff happening around town. So that, yeah, if you can't go away, if you can't afford to do some of the paid programmes, there's lots of free activities that you can do over the summer. So that's really exciting, that's coming up soon. We're also working on Macclesfield Heritage Open Day at the minute. So Heritage Open Days are a programme run by the National Trust, and they can take place at any point over these 2 weeks in September. But what we like to do is have Saturday the 9th of September as Macclesfield Heritage Open Day. So all of the organisations in Macclesfield do their Heritage Open Day event on the same day, so that we can say, come to Macclesfield on this day, and we're going to advertise this outside of town as well. So we'll advertise it locally to residents, but also like to get some tourism in and say, come to Macclesfield on this day, and you can go up the clock tower at Church Bell Tower, the church. You know, you can go backstage at Mads Theatre. You can come into the town, and we're going to have a makers market, and we're going to have a hobby fair, and you're going to be able to learn about the history of the building and try and sort of paint the town pink a little bit, because they've got this hot pink branding, so they have that bunting up everywhere. And yeah, that's the idea, is that you can come to Mac for the day and try a little bit of everything. And again, it's all free. Like, that's the ethos of Heritage Open Day, is that it's something that you can't normally do, and it all has to be free. And then the next one we'll talk about is Nature Needs You and the Eco Summit, which this year is Saturday the 7th of October. It'll be in West Park again. We're still booking stuff in for that, but we've got the TPs booked, and it should be another nice, positive day, family day, where we're teaching kids that it's okay to get outside of the winter and enjoy yourself, and there's plenty to do. And then yeah, there's just a little list of what's coming up for the rest of the year, because everything's coming. It's all coming. Yeah, Halloween, armistice, Christmas, etc.
Just with you saying that they Do Something sort of starts in 2 weeks. It's just scary how fast. I mean, looking at the academic years, we're now coming towards the end of another school year, and it's just, what do we do for the 6 weeks? Thank you for that. Just to note, you know, some of the events that we've had, I've heard feedback from Parkfit, our very own councillor Winston attends, and I've heard about your star jumps.
I don't care, I can still walk in time.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's fantastic to hear we're all taking part, and other organisations are approaching that to try and get activities and younger people as well. I think the Armed Forces Day, with the limited time that we had, it was okay. We could do better. I think there was issues with vehicles not turning up and something else
Yeah, and
beyond our control.
there were things that we were promised by Cheshire East in terms of support and resources that did not materialise. So it's a sticky one. Challenging.
We need to ask them to do better next year, hopefully, as well. And then they Do Something Summer, not just what the town council is doing, but the fact that we're working with other organisations, you said the library, the Grosvenor Centre, to try and give people things to do. I think I mentioned last year or the year before, it'd be nice to have lists of activities, whether it's paid or free events, and it's nice to see that's being put out on social media, so at least people can see what's free or you know, what they can afford to, summer camps that they can send their young children to. Any other comments or questions from Councillor Barlow?
Just to touch on something I just said about the signage that is around the lamppost. I think that's been really good, not only to advertise the events, but also to advertise the town council as a whole. Because I've had a few people say to me, they've seen them and like, oh, I didn't know the town council did this. So I think it's been a really beneficial move to actually, advertising the council as a whole and improving our brand identity across the town. So I think that's been a really good move.
I fully agree with Councillor Barber there. Basically, I was going to say the same thing, but to say really, I think that it's so positive. We need to look at whether we could extend it to other parts of the town at all as well, because I do think it's really interesting that I think over the years, and I'm sure councillors will be the same, you hear all these, you receive all these ideas that residents have for what is essentially a glorified sign. So it's either like a massive notice board or a circular notice board or a floating something or a massive billboard, and actually like the kind of the fact is very the triangular things are perfect, and I hope they're sort of easy to put up. Would the Rangers put them up then? Is it do you put them up yourself?
Abigail and I can put them up.
Yeah.
They're tricky to handle on a windy day, I'd say that, but
Yeah.
other than that, they're pretty straightforward.
Just to say, really, like all the promotions, I just think that it'd be great to see it in South Macclesfield somewhere, you know,
Just
around the football ground, or you know, on Lost Lane or something like that.
Just to come in on that, I was speaking to some residents, Broken Cross Club, and mentioned that Armed Forces Day, and they said, oh, why has that been advertised? So things like that around the estates could, if there's a QR code or if there's just information, I think that would do as well for promoting ourselves, not as the town councillors, Councillor Barber said, but to give information that those aren't on social media, or pick up a newspaper, or local people, or I do really listen to Silk FM.
Yeah, I just want, well, Abby will cover it in comms, but they have promoted it so far and wide now, and there was a massive poster in the Grosvenor and a massive poster outside. So, and I know there's always improvements to be made, but yeah, radio, local.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, obviously, not everyone is in tune, so.
I think because last week there was a security in place did a talk with Keele University asking people questions, and people always say, oh, you're not doing enough digital, and then some other people always say, oh, you're not doing enough physical, you know, posters. So actually posters with QR codes is definitely the way to go, because you're dealing with both of them, so that's really good.
Obviously something for us to look at, and cost and whatever going forward. We'll see more potential advertising. So any other comments about the?
Yeah, just to say that thanks for all the events. Clearly the important thing is they're free. For a lot of family this summer, that's going to be really important. I think, but also the creative, there's a degree of creativity behind these. I think that really, I have to thank you for, Rachel. I think the stuff and the kids' stuff in the summer is first class.
Yeah, I know I've looking through my workloads and what I can attend, and I'm gutted that I can't attend the Treasure Trail, but I'm sure myself and daughter will be along to many of the others. So yeah, those watching starts the
26th of July.
26th of July.
The first one, which is the photography.
So there's photography, there's chalk art, kite making,
Circus School, Treasure Trail, and
something else, which will be a surprise to
Comics.
Mark's Comics, yes.
Thank you very much. So we've covered 8.1, we want to take 8.2, which is floor displays, and again that's to receive and note the updated reports.
So ANZA have done all the summer bedding. Our rangers have done their part. Our rangers tend to do the bits that are right outside the town hall, the bits that are all spilling over with beautiful plants and look absolutely amazing. So they've done a brilliant job this year. Well, they do every year, but they look particularly nice. The judging will be in August for Britain in Bloom. We have the committee have their routes just about together, and we've got lots of really exciting community groups on it, including Space for Autism, who are not only joining it, but the chief officer is going to drive us round in their minivan. So we'll all be together. So that's really good. Saved me potentially having to drive a minibus, which would be terrifying. And in Britain in Bloom this year, we've entered Macclesfield as a whole. We've entered the Pocket Park down near the bus station, the little tiny ones. The Rangers have been doing a bit of work down there, and we've put in, it's called a small retail area. So it's the bit outside the library to basically outside the town hall. Upper Marketplace is its own little area, because you've got the area outside Five Clouds with, there you've got the phone boxes, you've got Nicky Jones, lovely, beautiful hanging baskets with its own irrigation system. So, you know, we're quite excited about that little retail area, because it, you know, and lots of different categories, but those are the three we went for this year. So, be very exciting.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of colour that's in the town. I was getting a bit concerned about the wildflowers by Sainsbury's, but they've started coming up now and it's looking fantastic once again. So yeah, massive thank you to the Rangers and also Answer for helping out with that. Any other comments from council? No? Okay. Item 8.3 are public toilets.
So, the public toilets, the good news is that we have a start date in August and an end date in September. So it's about 6 weeks. I haven't got the specific dates, but I think end of September was, so it'd probably be mid-August. The traders will have access to Portaloos, but probably they'll be for the traders only. It's a 6-week period and then they'll be ready and open.
Fantastic.
So there was a delay because the Muscular Dystrophy Society have to sign off on the change in places toilet, and anyway, it's been sorted. It's all been signed off and sorted out. So that's why they're moving forward.
Well, it's good to finally see that there are going to be some public toilets up at the top end of town.
Yes.
There was an email that was sent around about some of the toilets. That decisions need to be made. Obviously, we'll be discussing that tonight because it's on the agenda. But yeah, no, it's fantastic to see that we've got centralised toilets back in town.
I'm looking forward to the day of opening the said toilets. Because it came up again on Saturday as part of listening to people rightly pointing out lack of toilet, but the fact that this is happening
Yes.
does seem to pass a few people by.
Yes. Yes.
I think also the fact that, you know, before as a councillor and now as a councillor, it was one of the main things that came up. Toilets in town, obviously the ones by Tasco Church or Low when they shut, which was out of Cheshire East Council's hand. It was a bit, what do we do? But no, the fact that we can now say that we've got public toilets opening up September, plus also changing places as well. I think that's a massive boost to what we've done as a town council. So thank you very much for all the hard work that's gone into that. Any other comments? No. So item 8.4, we've got the festoons. So we've got action to look at installing new lights on Church Street.
Yes, so before the last services committee meeting, we conducted an audit with Lights, the provider of the lights, and they told us that the lights on Church Street were coming to the end of their life, which we knew anyway, because if you do walk down there, you can see that the bulbs are full of water and they're always going out, the timers are dropping out, so we knew there was issues with them. So they've priced up for a replacement for Church Street, which, I mean, they were installed back in 2016, so it's about the age for replacing them anyway. So it's £3,160 plus VAT to install the new lights and remove the old ones. So we're just asking the committee to consider that proposal.
Thank you very much. Councillor Pittock.
Thank you, Chair. The wording of it was quite strange because it said this action to install the new lights, and just for a split second I thought, were you asking us to install it? So I just need to sort of clarify that. And like, I'm glad to see that decision required. So that's really good. But I think it is worth saying as well that we've previously paid for lighting along the different that wall gate, I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
Basically the old castle around there. So so I think it's just worth noting that we have done this, and of course it's something that people really love, and we support the nightlife of the nighttime economy and events as we have with sort of Party in the Pews, and this is another way to do it, because I think we had feedback that residents don't always feel secure in dark parts of the town, so it's another way to help those people feel more secure.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to echo what you just mentioned there, Councillor Pittock, it's nice that the feedback we get as a town council that, we've got Chestergate, Chestergate, we've got Marketplace, Waters Green, Park Green as well. There are areas in the town that we're doing our bit to try and make people feel a little bit safer in town, trying to encourage people to cut out into the night time and have social nights as well. Obviously 7 years lifespan, if that's what it is for the lights, then if they need to be replaced, I think it's a no-brainer that we're looking to replace them. So
Happy to propose to.
thank you very much, councillors.
Second.
Happy to second. So I'll take that to the vote. So all those in favour? That's unanimously carried. Thank you very much. Okay. Item 8.5, which is the Tunnicliffe Trail, is to receive and note the update report. It seems like this has been going on for, again, many years. Landlords and permissions and whatnot.
Yeah, it has been going on for a long time. So in May, I had a meeting with the director of the museums to say it's not going to happen anytime soon if we keep pursuing the same plan. So we had a meeting and we discussed it, and we decided to look at a different approach. So you've probably seen the trails elsewhere of the bees, the Manchester bees and things like that, and the snowmen. Having some sort of shape that is representative of Charles Tunnicliffe, that can go in the town centre, maybe dotted on the outskirts of town too, as a trail. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm doing some research into that in a minute. So I'm speaking to a company called Wild in Art, who've done these trails across the country. So there's two options, which I'll come back to Services Committee with when I've got prices and things. I'm having a meeting with them. You can hire a shape, so they do have a hair, which obviously is quite fitting with Tunnicliffe, but they've got owls and things. Or you can have a custom-made shape. So I'm going to price it all up and then come back to the committee with some ideas.
Thank you. Just when you're mentioning the bees, obviously there's been super Longarders in Liverpool, and
Yeah.
I think Oldleton have had a bear trail as well. So no, it's quite nice that hopefully we can get our own trail. And as you said, it's one of those where, as Councillor Howland would say, what about the estate? So if we can open it up to the whole of Maxfield estates as well as the town, it's going to be a benefit to the outlying areas of land. Councillor Pottage?
Yeah, just to say, I mean, there's already been a very successful people doing Tunnicliffe, different odes to Tunnicliffe down Sunderland Street, and I think I would personally like to support more of that, and I think it's very important. Because basically various places that I've lived, I think the only downside of trails is trying to avoid becoming generic with it, and the whole thing about Tunnicliffe's art is it's unique, and when you go to I'd advise anyone who goes to the museum, it's very striking, very beautiful, sort of actually quite graphic as well, because there's lots of like the animal pictures of the animals, but so my personal preference, really just sort of stating here, is obviously to support local artists, and I think I'd go a stage further than yourself, Chair, to say that I think that it would really enhance the project to have it in the estate in the estates in different parts of Macclesfield, because I live close to Sunderland Street and it's beautiful, having all this wonderful artwork in the morning, when you walk to work or whatever, and I think it would be amazing if we could do that to encourage people to visit other parts of because that's the point of the trail, isn't it? Getting people out to places they've never been to and exploring that. So just think, in the spirit of Banksy, you always notice that Banksy does it in out of reach places, not necessarily just in the centre of town. And I just think we have to make sure, just really try not to make it generic. We know we're better than Congleton anyway, so it's like we can come up with something that's really uniquely Macclesfield with that. So yeah.
Someone else? No.
Just what Chris said that, just said that, did you say that loud enough? We're better than Congleton.
Anyone who wants to know, yeah.
Okay, so moving swiftly on. 8.6 Barnaby Parade. There was meant to be someone coming to speak to us. Unfortunately, they've been unable to make it, so we've got a report.
Oh, just sorry, Chair, there wasn't somebody, the report is due the end of July, so they're going to come in September, because we haven't had the full report yet.
Right, do apologise. So Barnaby update will be given September's.
Yes.
I wanted it to be noted really for the committee that the town clerk and the events officers deserve sort of thanks from the council for really helping make it happen with Barnaby, and it really ensuring that we had a Barnaby festival. I think it needs to be sort of said.
Thank you. Art Space and Barnaby jointly did the parade. We've had Art Space's report, we've not had Barnaby's yet, but it wasn't due till the end of the month. So it seemed prudent to put it on the next one so that they could be here and we've had a chance to debrief with them.
Yeah, no, that's no problem at all. All I'd say is it was fantastic, A, taking part in the parade, B, seeing the amount of people that came out, lined the routes, and then when the parade got back into Christchurch, it was nice for myself to kind of welcome the parade back into Christchurch and see the parade for myself. So yeah, no, it was a fantastic event. We look forward to hearing the report from Barnaby themselves going forward in September. Thank you. So moving on, item 9, we've got leisure and outdoor activities. 9.1 is parks and play areas.
Yep, so we've got Windmill Park BMX track. It was awarded to Clark and Kent, so that's the town council have paid for that, and ANZA will be overseeing it. There will be some community engagement to be done, but at the moment Clark and Kent are working on some world championships in Glasgow or something, so they'll be coming back in September. We're hoping to have a day in the park where anybody can come along and talk to them about the track, and the group that we previously had, the group that you once met, Neil, in the park, do you remember? They have all been contacted, ready for engagement, so that should be going ahead over August. West Park, obviously, we've had the roundabout funded through full council on the gate. They are in the process of working out if a new roundabout can go where the old roundabout was, because they've got to go into the ground. I did speak to them about potentially putting another piece of equipment in there, and they said they've got some section 106 money, so they might come back at another point. They want to do it West Park as a sort of whole, look at it rather than piecemeal. And then we've also got the South Park project, which we gave another 20,000 towards trim trail, the park run route and the orienteering equipment. That will be going ahead at some point. And just the other thing on parks is that councils can put forward ideas, because there's £60,000 left in the budget. The councils can put forward if it's sooner rather than later, so I can check with ANZA anything they wanted is actually viable and able to do in any of the parts in their ward.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, mentioning about Windmill Park, it's absolutely fantastic that the people who are going to be using it are going to be giving their input. That's what we're all about, having the local ideas for what's going to be used, because at the end of the day they're going to be the ones who know the tricks and whatever they're to do. Any comments, questions, Councillor?
Could we put some triangles around some in Windmill Park? What do you call them? Correct boards. Yeah, seems like a good. Particularly, I mean, I know that parks are usually under ANZA, aren't they? But to promote sort of the events in parks.
Item 9.2, the South Park Pavilion. Again, is to receive and note an updated report.
So before I go, I'll leave this to Councillor Livingston. I will just say that Councillor Livingston and I have had a meeting today about VAT and whether it applies, and therefore a full report on council will not. It will be an information report. There won't be a decision-making report, because we've got to go back and do a little bit more work on some of the figures. So we're still waiting for planning permission as well.
Yeah, just we've had an interesting meeting on that, which I think we now know that how we would make sure we recover any part of the construction works. There's a bit of work to do, I think, just to trim back the construction budget. building sustains it as well. That would be fair more in terms of a summary.
Yes, yes.
Any questions about the pavilion? Just for myself, what do we know where we're up to in relation to planning? Commission?
Well, the decision was due on January the 9th
Okay.
of this year.
This year?
No, yeah, this year. It's only this year. We periodically I chase, or Joe Martin, who's the architect, chase, or Councillor Wilson does some chasing. I get the impression it's just the backlog. I don't think there was any issues with the. We've certainly not heard of any issues. It's you know, so we're still waiting, which we couldn't apply for the loan anyway till we had the planning permission. So I'll come back to full council in September with all the proper figures and everything after, you know, like Councillor Livingston said, we just need to make sure the budget is fitting with what we want to be able to afford and how it will be run in the future, because that has VAT implications for the council to decide. So we want you with all the information before you make that decision. You don't need to rush it because we've got 4 years.
Indeed, no, thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Winston, as well for the updates from yourself. So, 9.3, we've got playing out again to receive and note the updated report.
So, holding another playing out session with Create on Lime Avenue outside St Barnabas on the 27th of July. So the road closure signs will be going up for that this week. We did email out to all the local schools and a comprehensive list of local groups to see if there were expressions of interest in becoming involved with playing outs. Had a bit of an overview, and it said to people, if you're interested, let us know and we will hold an expressions of interest event. This was in partnership with Councillor Wilson, but we didn't get any replies. So I'm going to have a chat with Councillor Wilson and have a rethink. Hopefully, the next playing out session on the 27th of July will be as popular as the last one on social media, and we can jump straight off that, email out to everybody straight away and say, this is so popular, you know, do you want to get involved? But it does require a commitment, so we need people who can commit to it, because the road closure training is essential.
Comments or questions?
Chair, just to say, I think that it's great to hear that Lime Avenue, I believe you could confirm, was from listening to residents about where they wanted it. So it's basically I just think that needs to be noted as well, that it's not, you know, that it was decided as the space which would be suitable for families, but also the residents around in the. I don't think there's any no ball games signs there, but yeah, just to say, I think that needs to be added.
Just looking, I mean, if you look at Lime Avenue, it's serviced from both ends as well. So if you look at some of the roads on Linton Priory, it's one of those where, you know, one road in, one road out. It's a bit more difficult to do playing out. So hopefully it goes well. Hopefully the weather again is kind. We look forward to hearing all that at our next council meeting for services. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. So 9.4, we're looking at allotments, again to receive an updated report.
So we've been carrying out all the site inspections because it's that time of year. Off the back of that, we've sent out quite a few non-conservation letters, and we have a few tenants have left because they're not keeping on top of it. So it's one of those things, if you're not keeping on top of it now at this time of year, it's not going to happen. So we've had a few people leave, but we've got a waiting list, so we're quickly filling the vacant plots, which is great. But as part of the inspections, not only do we look at the plots, we also look at the boundaries, the trees, is there any issues that are going on. So the boundary at Knowsley Road is an issue. If you ever walk down there, you'll know. The fence is falling down in places. But in order to carry out the work that's needed, we had a meeting with ANSA. It's a massive, massive project. So we're going to have to take little steps to be able to eventually replace the fence. And part of that is making sure that people are maintaining the whole of their plot, this sort of thing. So it's just it's going to be a big project, but this is sort of the start. Also, we've had an issue with the water pressure on the site. United Utilities looked into it. It's not an issue from their end, so we've had a contractor out to price up for putting a rod down to have a look, a camera to see. So that's an ongoing piece of work to try and get that water pressure back up to what it should be. Springfield Road, same thing again, non-cultivation letters have been issued. The tree now has been removed because it was unsafe after being inspected. So that work has taken place. Got an issue with the access road, which is detailed in the report, but basically a fence has been installed. We think by Peaks and Plains, but we're not quite sure. But the access road is still owned by Cheshire East, so I've reported it to them as we can't get the van down there to carry out the maintenance anymore. So it's quite a significant issue really. So it's going through property at Cheshire East. Just wanted to highlight that. And Park Grove site inspection was absolutely fine, no issues there.
And just confirm, the site inspections, are they the ones that the town council is still managing and not the ones
Yes.
run by? I know Bertel Lane, they manage their own, so it's just the ones that we're under obligation. Thank you very much for the information. Any comments? No. Just in relation to the non-cultivation, are we able or in a position to be able to get new plots, plateaus in? Is that progressing?
Yeah, we've got a waiting list which is growing by the day. So yeah, the allotments are really popular at the minute. So we're able to backfill quite quickly. It's not a problem.
Thank you very much for that. It's good to see that well, obviously the cost of living and fruit and veg, it's nice that people are wanting to do their bit, not only for the environment and food miles, but grow their own crops, and nothing tastes better than after the hard work that's gone into producing your own veg. Any comments from the council? No? Okay. Item 9.5 is street sports. Again, to note the updated report. Just something for myself. I know that there's been, I think I've been in contact with yourself about Becks Lane, and there's some issues of people attending but not being able to find the kind of leaders. I think that's been ironed out. But again, looking at the numbers, it's fantastic to see. It's well used as a free sporting provision that we're able to do on the estates.
Also, just an interesting thing is that we're trying to arrange an adult street sports, which children and adults can do, but we're hoping for like rounders games. We're trying to arrange 5.
Yeah, so they'll be over the summer.
Yeah.
So we're just working with the providers trying to fix
See if
those
we can
things.
all be expected to.
Depends on if I'm working or not. Remember, there was your
outfit.
No, not on a Thursday for Council Limited as part of it.
Not this Friday anyway, so we'll be dying somewhere we've got.
But no, I mean, I think I read somewhere that on Ipswich Priory there was for street sports was a massive game of rounders that happened, and again it's nice that the older adults can engage with the younger people and children and go on walking together. So I know it'd be nice to see that into fruition. Any other comments or no? Okay, thank you. So 9.6 we've got summer schools.
Yeah, so we've opened the programme again for children who wouldn't ordinarily be able to go to a summer club because their families can't afford it. We are funding those places. So we've opened it up. I've had quite a few referrals in, so those places are filling up.
Thank you very much.
Chair.
Sorry,
Just to ask really, I think is the funding for that enough, or do you see a big demand for that? Would the scheme benefit from an increase in support for that?
I think
Does it work?
last year, we ended up taking a couple of extra referrals over. I think we've improved that. But I think this year so far we're not halfway towards the allocation. I think it's £2,000 that's been allocated. we get closer, then I'll be able to know what the demand is like. I think there'll be an influx of applications at the last minute. There was last year, so I'm expecting that.
We probably have got a bit of room. Like normally when we get close to the budget, Helena will say, look, there's these other kids. And we've got a bit of room to extend it because it's an important.
We didn't turn anyone away last year.
So you won't be like hit 2,000 and be like doors closed, you know.
No, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, it is.
Item 10, we've got the street scene. So 10.1, we are looking at public realm furniture. Oh, sorry.
Chair, I'd better declare an interest for 10.3 0165 gallery because I was meant to be exhibiting some work in here, but I didn't.
No, that's no problem. So obviously, we were around a little bit late. We did go through the declarations of interest, but thank you very much for letting us aware of that. So 10.1, which is the public realm furniture, going to receive and note the updated reports.
So we were looking at these lovely benches. Well, I'll let the comms officer, because it was her, we're doing a little project on it, so I'll let her fill you in.
So I came across this thing called friendly benches, which are essentially almost like a mini pocket park. It's a sort of an arrangement of benches with some tables in the middle and then planters around the outside. And the aim is for volunteers to manage a programme of events that run from the friendly bench, whether it be a group of people who sit on the friendly bench on a Tuesday afternoon and knit, or whether it be, for example, like the local men's health group who meet outside the town hall on a Monday night and go for their walk. They could meet at the friendly bench. It could also be a place for people who are feeling a bit isolated to go and sit on, and if somebody else sees them, then they can know that they want to be talked to, they can go and talk to them. They were quite expensive when we looked into the price of them. So there is an alternative scheme where you can just sort of sign up to be a friendly bench. Obviously we have got benches out there, but I do think we could get something a bit nicer which would facilitate people meeting there and it becoming a bit of a space. So we're sort of looking into whether we can get something made for a bit less money, or whether we just stick with what we've got and then just brand it as a friendly bench. So yeah, we're looking into that at the minute.
Okay.
Chair, just say a few years ago, a Maxwell resident who's also very successful light artist. She works with big theatres across like Europe and what have you. Talked to one of our groups about a friend's bench using lights. So sort of it lights up. So it only lights up when two people are sat in it and stuff. So I could potentially put you in touch with her.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm sure that probably increases the price vastly.
Possibly.
Like having sensors and stuff. But I do think in terms of thinking about the design of it could be really good.
It's a fantastic idea. We always hear that there are people that are feeling low or lonely, wanting to chat to. I love the idea of sitting down on a day or evening and doing a bit of knitting and chatting away. Keeps isolation at bay. I think these times that we're finding ourselves in is fantastic that we can be proud to hopefully get up and running. Any other comments? No. Thank you for that. So 10.2, we've got our report from our fantastic town rangers. Obviously we've heard about what ANSA have been doing for us, the flower capacity, but obviously the town rangers do a lot more for our town. It's again to receive and note the reports. The amount of stuff noted down on this report is fantastic testament to what the town rangers do, and again still fantastic value for money. So I'll move to the assistant town clerk.
Yeah, so I mean they're doing a phenomenal amount of work. They're really getting through it at a very quick pace. Damon has been appointed as the lead town ranger, so he's doing a fantastic job of coordinating the work and looking after the team. but also they're getting a lot more involved with the community work that we do and the events. There's a big support for the events now, which is kind of a new thing. They've always been a little bit involved, but they're doing all the road closure and delivery of the signs and things, aren't they, this week? So yeah, they're just doing a sterling job and involved with Britain and Bloom as well. So,
I know I've got a meeting on some Priory tomorrow, hopefully with them to look at the project down there, working in conjunction with some Priory schools, so hopefully we can get that ticked off and do something with a desolate area with some Priory. So again, you know, if there's any areas that you know in your wards that you want to try and brighten up the sign ranges, I'd be more than happy to, I'd say more than happy to oblige. Any comments about the time ranges?
Yeah, well, it's just I really appreciate the responsiveness of the time ranges, and I think that's really great. I think one of the challenges, unfortunately, you get is sort of, especially if sort of damage or to you know public space. It's quite often, unfortunately, Saturday morning or sort of so you know. I really appreciate the responsiveness, but you know, you know, making it so that service is able to do things at times when you know, when it's not necessarily that easy is really sort of very much appreciated. Yeah, just from like sort of, you know, residents complaining about I think in the centre about sort of damage in the morning after everyone's had a big night out, or you know, things like that. So yeah, but they've been really good at like sort of doing what they can when I've reported those things.
Okay, so moving on, we've got the 01625 gallery. Currently the phone box is outside the Visitors Information Centre. We have our mini Mac, which is looking fantastic. So again, it's to receive a notary updated report.
yeah, so Mini Map has been really popular. I think it's brilliant. It's just so cute. But it will be moving into its next phase soon. So it will be phone calls from the past. So working with the museum on this one. So this one's going to be equally exciting as well. So Lucy, who's coordinated the project, Lucy Fitzpatrick, she's done a brilliant job. So. And it's been really well received, so we'll be speaking to Lucy about continuing this into the future. It seems to be popular.
Thank you. Well, who would have thought that two old BT phone boxes could, we've had flowers, we've had mini Mac, it's fantastic. We're finding ways and means to use them, and again, it's a talking point, bringing people into the town. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see what plans we've got going into the future.
Thanks to you. I think this is one of these ideas that came to us, and I'm glad we went for it, because I think having two phone boxes used this way, but it's that thing of apps, the fact that you can get a cliff trail, you can be starting to actually generate that in this town. I think it's really important, because it's trying to find things that will try and draw people into the town and give them a reason to come. I think that's one of the things that I always think people forget, clearly because I didn't grow up here, is just how special the location is and how underplayed sometimes it is by people who live here.
Any comments?
Just Lucy writes a really good report as well. They're very sort of like, it's great to see, you know, full of exciting images. But like I say, feeling guilty that it's missing a Hertzfield like tower
We were
block.
wondering.
Yeah. It's,
Not tower block being knocked out.
yeah.
Because you put it all over social media, so everyone was excited.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's just fantastic to you know, not just from the council, but the comments from the residents, people just recently moving to Mac, getting involved. It's fantastic that, as I said, two phone boxes that are being used and being spoken about and talked about, and long may it continue. So 10.4, we've got our community enforcement report. I know our enforcement officer hasn't been in post 7 months I think now. Looking at the information that we've been dealing with, we've been keeping him busy, it looks like. So we're going to receive the updated reports.
Yeah, it's just, he has been busy and he's had some success in Titherington. The patrol plan they put in place has been effective and it's really helped the problem, so it's brilliant. He has established some other patrol plans based on information that we've had from councillors. If members of the public can also report via Fix My Street, that helps inform future patrol plans. So the stats really help. So when you're speaking to people, if they can report on there, as well as telling us as well, but if they can also report on there, that really adds weight to it. Yeah, and he's issued a warning for suspected dog fouling in the High Street area. He's waiting to catch the people that are doing it, or the dogs that are doing it. So yeah, he's doing a great job.
And it's fantastic to hear that we have had issues on Titherington, and because of the patrols that the enforcement officer is doing, I think it's fantastic that we've found a gap in the market, well not gap in the market, we've found a gap that Cheshire East should be doing, and it's doing the job to keep the streets clean. I think I was on the school run this afternoon, and I think I saw a lady with a pram that was trying to get some dog fouling mess off the tyre of the pram. So if anybody out there, sorry.
No, sorry, just after you've finished.
Again, as the assistant town clerk's mentioned, if there's anybody that does notice any dog fouling, Fix My Street, you can get it on the app, you can get it on online, report it with locations, it comes through to the town council staff, and we can look at getting the enforcement officer to patrol plan.
I'm just going to add that in the report it says that a meeting is going to be arranged with Mark and the Town Centre PCSO. Well, that is happening this week, so that will hopefully really help with connecting up the information, and they're going to do some patrols together as well. So yes.
Clearly, if that becomes established practice, I think probably local council would be reasonably comfortable to support it.
Yeah, Chair, thanks. Just so again at the this weekend, residents were talking at the event at St Michael's Church about the fact that they when they were talking about Maxfield, about we had a number of people talking about when they'd set up successful neighbourhood watches in the past, and they were asking about how we join up these things, and it's really good to hear you talking about joining it up with the CCTV and the other services. But I was in a group where I distinctly felt, I know people love to volunteer for things like for a litter pick, or people love to, people absolutely love it when they get to work with the town ranger, and it was just really to sort of raise the issue of like that there appeared to be a bit of interest in whether we could work with the residents, could work with the community enforcement officer. And I think Councillor Ruth Thompson, when you were summarising everything, you talked about the fact that you talked very well about the fact that that Fix My Street was the first step to do that. So yeah, I'm really encouraging people to do that. But just to say there's kind of real interest in seeing this work, and people don't want to just moan about these things, they want to see it sorted. So yeah.
So 10.5 history project, and we are to consider the proposal that's within the.
So the assistant town clerk and I were approached by a local resident, Trevor, who we've worked with before, and who has done a lot of work on kind of military things. I know he got some, he did some work in the
Maps.
graveyards.
Oh.
Yes,
Maps,
Yeah, and he'd done some maps, and he's come from, he's got all these pictures of Macclesfield, of what they looked like in the olden days and what they look like now. And he had this sort of view that could we do boards so that you would look down Chestergate and then you would be able to see, oh, you know, that's what it used to look like, and some little bit of history. Now, Trevor did have quite a few photos, and obviously Helena doing the Tunnicliffe Trail, we thought we'll start off small this time and see actually how hard the whole process is, because there's quite a cost to this, because it's classed as street furniture, so it's like £108 just to get Highways to meet you to talk about it. To be fair to them, they've got to check what's underneath the ground, and you know, so there is cost, and then there's solicitors' fees. So we thought, if you like this project, we would maybe try one board, see how it worked, whether people liked it, before we went on to do potentially a bigger project. And what we'd probably do is put like a couple of options depending on where they could go. Because the picture in the report of Mill Street is a really great picture if you were to look at it then and look at it now. But I don't know that you could put that in the middle of Market Square because it's a road. So there's going to be quite a few bits in technical bits, but it'd be quite nice because like the heritage part. And what we've also done is linking in with the Heritage Day. Trevor's pictures will be used in the town hall for everybody to see before and afters. You know, so he's working with Rachel. That's come out of this project. This one is basically looking for a small budget to see if this project would work, if it's something you're interested in, or you know. So that's about it, really.
Thank you. I think it's absolutely fantastic that we've got the opportunity to look back at how Macclesfield used to be compared to what it is now. And there are some photographs. I think it was one of the Jolly Sailor, over somewhere, and you're looking at it. I think the times I've been in, and people are trying to figure out whereabouts the photograph is. So trying to tie in. I mean, the town's changed so dramatically over the years, over the decades. So I think this is a fantastic example of what could be done. Councillor Putty?
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to propose that we approve the project. Just sort of speak in favour of it. I mean, I love speaking to Trevor about different ideas that he's got, but also he's got a track record of some really great grassroots community history projects that they're not too heavy on the nostalgia, which is good, because actually the project, if you walk through the Grosvenor Centre near to Greg's, there's part of a previous project he did where he mapped out where soldiers killed in World War I lived in Macclesfield, and it was a brilliant piece of work to really bring home how many people were unnecessarily, in my opinion, sacrificed in World War I, and it really brought it home, and it was really quite it really caught the imagination of a lot of people, including the residents of these houses. And I remember speaking to him about how he would about with that map project, about how he sort of take it to the next level, or and he was mentioning to me about Eckensford and our the town in Germany that was twinned with Macclesfield until I think Cheshire East broke up with them. And how we'd love to rekindle that project. He had some really great community sort of like I say, driven art and cultural projects, and I think it's totally right, Laura, to sort of see if we can't sort of work to actually build it up into something bigger, because I think that sort of maybe one with a real focus on what it is, and then build it into the programme of wider heritage could be really good. Because I think the other thing is that getting people like Trevor to be working with the museums and the heritage institutions, really, because I think that those two groups will really sort of benefit from each other. So yeah, I propose that we support that.
Anybody else any comments?
Happy to second.
Just thinking about, obviously I mentioned it's way the town's changed. I remember when the work was being done on TK Maxx now, and I was sat in an office working, and it was the music shop on the corner, and as they were stripping it back, you saw signs for Halford. So it's just strange to see, you know, you stand there and you're thinking, got all this history that's going by, and you know, people aren't aware of what's been there before. So so we've got a proposer, got a seconder, we'll take that to them. So all those in favour of this project, that's unanimously carried. Certainly looking forward to the fruition of that come to light. Okay, so item 11, we've got town centre regeneration, starting with 11.1, which is the footfall mapping. I'll hand over to the communications officer.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we've always said that the key thing about our events is keeping them free and trying to bring people into town. And the one way that we can prove that that's happening is by these footfall figures. And you can see highlighted in red the figures for those specific events. So Easter, Coronation, Bikeathon, Treacle Market, and then Barnaby. And it's quite clear from all of them that the footfall did increase. The Coronation's obviously a little bit of an anomaly because the week after it seemed to almost double, which was a bit odd. But obviously the Coronation event was a little bit of a washout in terms of the weather, and with it being inside, footfall wouldn't have been as high in the marketplace anyway. But you know, they're all really good examples of why we do these free events, and you know, because we're bringing people into town, they're not having to spend money to come and get their face painted. They can hopefully spend something in the local shops and cafes instead. So yeah, we're really pleased with how that's looking. Yeah, so that's that one.
Any questions on footfall? No. So 11.2, the town centre through Wi-Fi data, again to receive a note data report.
Yes, so the Wi-Fi connection figures, we've seen a continued decrease in the number of connections that people are making to the free town centre Wi-Fi. It's just not being used as much as it was. For example, May 2022 saw almost 24,000 connections. May 2023 saw just over 13,000 connections. We don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, it's just that mobile phone packages nowadays come with a lot more data than they used to. So a year ago, I'd be trying to get onto the Wi-Fi wherever I could, for example, because I didn't want to use all my data. Now I've got so much data that it gets rolled over at the end of the month. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that people aren't using it, we don't think. It's still showing the connection times are averaging about 72 minutes. The busiest time for April, weirdly, was between 2 and 3, but usually it's between 1 and 2 or 12 and 1, that sort of lunchtime period. But it is fairly consistent. It's just slightly dropping every month.
Councillor Puttick.
Yeah, thanks for the report from Abby there. I wondered really sort of what are the next steps with that comment, because I mean I would say, ironically I couldn't log into the actual because we've gone paperless. I couldn't log into the to read the report for quite a while there, but it did make me think, what do we do with that? Because do we consider stopping?
Yeah, so I've spoken to the town clerk about it. We have a few months left on our contract with the Wi-Fi provider, so it's not just something that we can cancel straight away. Obviously, when the contract comes up for renewal, if the data continues to show that drop, then it would make sense for us not to continue to pay for that if it's not being wildly used. So it's something that we will look at when we get to that point.
And do you have a way to talk to those users, or to kind of get an idea? Is it, obviously because privacy and what have you, but you know, do you have any sort of notion of what the demographic makeup is of those
Unfortunately not, no. We know how many new users we get versus repeat users, which is shown on the report, but we don't know what the demographic is. As I say, with the majority logging on and making that connection between that lunchtime period does make me believe that it would be people working in the town centre or who are on lunch breaks and then coming in. But unfortunately, we don't have any more information than that.
Any other comments? Just one thing, I think I remember quite a few years ago when we had a meeting with Elephant Wi-Fi, who supply the Wi-Fi, they were mentioning something about potentially when people are logging on, having a database, and would you like to know more about this event that the Town Council can do, or is that something that we could ask the Wi-Fi provider to see if there's, obviously there's GDPR regulations which means a tick of a button for the user, but
It's not something I was aware that they could do, so I don't know if the town clerks looked
I've
into that.
emailed them since I last spoke to you.
Yeah.
They've not replied yet.
okay.
So it was to see if they would want more information and other stuff, and we would get any email or something of theirs.
Yeah. Obviously they'll need to tick the steps for GDPR, but it could potentially get more users using Wi-Fi, plus also giving more news about what's going on. Obviously we've spoken about events and publicisation. This could be another way to publicise what's going on within the Town Council events that are going on. At 1.3 we've got town centre signage. This is just a report on the signage projects that we've been looking at. Obviously, as with indoor markets have had their signage, and now we're looking at Castle Quarter.
Yes, so we've come up against a couple of the same issues that the Tunnicliffe project has, getting hold of landlords for buildings. I've also now had conversations with Cheshire East Highways, who have advised the licence, the section 177 licence that we would need, which is oversailing, which I think means going over a road, but it's not quite a road because there's a bollard in the middle of it, which means you can't go down it or up it. So I'm currently debating that with them at the moment. So yeah, and I'm also trying to find out where I apply for the section 177, because everyone keeps trying to give me a 171, and I don't want a 171, I want a 177. So yeah, it's tricky, but we're getting there, we're moving forward with it. So hopefully in the next couple of months or by the next services, I'll be able to report where we're up to with that one.
Any comments? No. Okay. Item 12, we've got council identity communications.
Yes, me again. So, as always, followers on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter continue to increase. It's an average of around between 4 and 5%. And this last report shows you the last 4 months data, which was May, and that's how much it's increased since March. There's some page overview there, which just shows the sort of reach that we've been getting, which is sort of around 60,000 people. And the post engagement has increased by 80% for sort of that last 28-day period that I've reported on there. Top posts include Crafty Corners shop window, which got something like a ridiculous 600 likes, I think, and everybody commenting about it, and people from all over the place, not just Macclesfield. We're really impressed with that shop window, and I think it's a really good example of what shops can do to encourage people to go in there. Our Do Something Summer programme's been really popular on Facebook, and also the new basketball sessions that we're running in West Park. Reach, I reposted something with regards to Back Wallgate and people speeding up and down it, up it and round the corner, and it reached 119,000 people. Again, Crafty Corner shop windows, 36,000 people, and basketball, 14,000. So we're getting some really good numbers on there. Obviously, UMayor's Facebook page, it was passed over to yourself, Chair, in May, and your followers have increased from 447 to 613 at the time of writing. So all that money you've paid your friends has worked really well.
I was going to say, it's all those new profiles we've been making.
Is that what it is?
It's not really.
Obviously, we've talked a lot about how it's not just sort of our digital methods that we need to look at, and that was reiterated, as Councillor Puttock said, at the event on Saturday. We've done, you know, we continue to do Facebook Lives to sort of reach those people, but we have press releases in the local paper. The previous mayor and yourself have both been on Silk FM talking about the town council and your mayoral duties. We've had our lamppost signs, the annual report's been published and it's on our website. Local people, we've had volunteering information in there, and actually quite a few people who came through to the assistant town clerk said that they saw it in local people. So we know that that works really well, and we really appreciate the work that Heather does with us on that. We delivered 4,500 Do Something summer leaflets to schools to go in book bags. We get a lot of parents telling us that they've not seen us advertising it, so we thought, right, well, we'll just stick it in book bags because parents have to clear that rubbish out at least once a week, so they'll definitely see it. We've had a Meet the Council event at Treacle Market. We've had the Youth Offender Service assisting us with delivering some leaflets. I've been out and about delivering some of our Glow Up grant leaflets last week and this week. We've got full page adverts for Do Something Summer going in the Mac Express, and we've got radio adverts going on to Silk FM as well to promote Do Something Summer. We're working with Highways to install 2 new community notice boards potentially in the town centre, so we're just working on through the permissions on that. With regards to the lovely Correx triangular things, obviously this was the first time we'd used them, and it came about because I tried to put up a big Correx poster on a windy day and it got ripped out of my hands and ripped off the tree straight away, and we wasted however much that was. So these triangular ones have proved really, really good, and at the time of writing we'd had 57 unique scans of the QR code which take people directly to our website, and that was within the 2 weeks since they'd gone up. I checked it today and we're now at 123 unique scans, so there's a lot of traffic coming through that. I think we've proven to ourselves that they do work, so the plan is already in the budget to sort of replicate those for our Christmas programme of events, because there's sort of 4 or 5 things that happen through the Christmas period, and I've written down that we'll get sort of 2 out to each ward and speak to councillors and see where you want them placed specifically. Just got to be careful when you take them down that you wear gloves, because they're on lampposts and dogs like lampposts. As I learnt to my horror the other day. And that is it.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the figures are showing that social media and the other platforms we have are going strong as ever. I think big thanks and congratulations to yourself, Abby, for all the hard work that you do. I know you love your Facebook Live posts. Yeah, I mean, not too keen myself at being in the public eye, but Silk FM, I think Andy was very calming and did very well. So, yeah, any comments from council? Or?
Really, on the theme of Correx boards, really, I just think that it's great. It's really great to hear that you've already anticipated that we need them for wards, and for the Christmas event. And like I say, I just think in parks promoting the street sports and the Matt doesn't need any more.
No, Matt doesn't need any more.
Yeah, but you know, to at least to tell people.
I think as well, the events officer, the way she designed them, I gave her the spec and everything, but she designed them, and the bright colours and how clear they are has just made them really easy for people to read and see, and then that QR code to take people. So yeah, we'll continue to make them bright and stand out.
2 things. So first of all, I'm reading about obviously the promotion for volunteers that within the Mac Express, etc. What sort of outside of local people, Macclesfield Press, do we liaise with any other sort of media, like the Northern News, for example, anyone like that?
Yeah, so I've got a list of everybody that we send, sort of like a distribution list that we send press releases to. So anytime that we do anything, whether it's an event or whether it's any news that we share, then we do send it out to them. Whether those people take it up is entirely up to them. We noticed this week that Visit Chester and Cheshire, the website, were sharing our Do Something Summer programme, which is something that they've not shared any of our events really before. So that was sort of a bit of a coup for us. But you know, we send stuff to everybody.
There's just another one, if you don't mind, Chair.
Yes.
So just obviously I was at the Meet the Councillor event, and thank you for obviously all the hard work that went into that. I was just wondering, are we thinking, cause I thought it was quite handy for us to, some people feel that councillors don't have enough of a public presence sometimes. They feel that we just sort of hide away sometimes. And I found it quite an interesting experience. So we had one gentleman that we spent a lot of time, didn't we, speaking to about a variety of issues like Barracks Mill and the football club, all sorts of different issues. And I was just wondering, moving forward, would we want to do more events like that to give that opportunity for residents who might not want to email or anything to come and meet us?
Yeah, so I think last year we might have done 2 or 3. I think one might have got rained off and everybody had to go home. So the plan will be to do some more of those. We've also talked about maybe not necessarily doing them at Treacle Market, but doing them during the week or on a Saturday in Marketplace to sort of, you know, just get people as they're passing. But yeah, it's definitely something that we'll continue to do because it works really well.
Oh, thank you.
Again, potentially just on the back of the Meet the Council, you know, obviously new councillor to the town council, but yeah, as Abby said, it's happened before. Just while I've been thinking on it, could we possibly arrange Meet the Councillor at some of the events that are going on, Nature Needs You or some of the events? Obviously, if councillors are free on those days, I think it's be nice that we're all there supporting what we're doing as a town council, speaking to residents as well, potentially. Something for the officers to take back. Okay. So moving on, we've got item 13, just look at the time. Standing order saying we've got 17 minutes. We'll see how we get on. So we've got action to consider and approve the event store and contract allocation policy and booking form. Brings to the clock.
Yes, so this is a new policy. The town council's been putting on some brilliant events and have become a bit of a victim of its own success. Everybody wants to be at those events, and we need a criteria so that that it's fair, people understand how we pick people, and that there has to be some discretion, that the events officer, Rachel, is organised events, she has sometimes just has to use a judgment and make a decision. So we wanted something in writing so that people could understand. Obviously, this is for like contractors. For instance, we've had quite a few coffee shops say, or different people come and say, oh, well, you never pick us, and we didn't know. They could do mobile, because ours be mobile as well. We don't actually do a huge amount of catering at our events. And it also includes charities and organisations, because, you know, quite often, like an example is last year at Christmas, we were getting like the day before, oh, I've got a dance troupe, we'll just come down. And, you know, Rachel puts a lot of effort into where everybody's going to go, how it's all going to work. And as much as people want to be involved, I don't think they realise that it's actually at least 3 months you have to book that space and get permission of Andrew Latham. There's a lot that goes into that, it doesn't just happen before. So this is to help people understand how we, or how the team allocate who comes to events and how it works. I've had one little bit of feedback, which was on, I just think it was 4C, which says that charities, organisations that work with children or vulnerable people must have a safeguarding policy and be DBS checked. It should actually, that the individuals need to be DBS checked, not the group. So we're just going to make that clearer, and then it will go to full council in 2 weeks if you approve, or if you want to add anything, or if you want me to explain anything more.
Councillor Putty.
Thank you, Chair. This is really great, and it's very eminently sensible, and I think all the points in it really good. just wondering about whether in the whether we could mention the climate emergency in oh, I think you probably knew I was going to say that in the criterion item 4. I mean it's sort of opened. I mean sort of a case in point, Chair. Previously, sort of with Party in the Pews, we talked about it about sort of we want to be flexible, you know, like you know, sort of so. It shouldn't be an obstacle to sort of working with those contractors, but I think people should really factor it in. I mean, we had with the food bank, local food bank, we're trying to talk about reusable nappies, and because there's a cost of living crisis, it's just not possible at the moment. So I fully understand. It's almost I almost think we probably need to say something about cost of living crisis, but we have declared a climate emergency, so I would suggest we add that as a to point 4, if we could, for consideration, just as part of that. So I mean, I can propose that as an addition. Would that be alright? I'll propose.
Yeah,
happy
no,
to agree with the rest of it.
yeah, no, I'm happy you actually brought it up. Just thinking back to other, I mean, obviously we've had Lord of the Pies that attended the Armed Forces, and that was in kind of paper with bamboo folks. So no, I think you're quite right there to make that small amendment that people need to be thinking about the climate emergency that the Town Council have declared in relation to catering or single plastic use. So I'm happy to second that amendment. First of all, if we take that amendment to a vote so that we can ratify that, and then we'll take the rest of the policy. So all those in favour of adding into item 4, voting on climate emergency, all those in favour? Okay. So you'll be able to draw up, and that will then go to full council and it's amended for. Thank you. Is there any more questions or comments about the policy as it is? Okay. So we'll take it with the amendment. Do you have any proposers to sign this off? Second, Councillor Wilson, Justin.
I'll let Chris on that.
We don't need to fight about it. So, all those in favour of the governance review with the amendments? So that'll go to full council and hopefully be commended to full council. So finally, we've got the date, time and place of the next Services Committee meeting, which will be on Monday the 2nd of October at Macclesfield Town Hall at 7 PM. Just like to thank you all, officers, councillors, for attending. I hope those that are viewing it online have enjoyed seeing what we're doing on the Services Committee, and look forward to meeting you again on the 2nd of October.
Thank you.
Thank you.